Katie McLaughlin is in that photo, correct?
Yes, along with a bunch of other friends.
Of course, there are other friends, but you...
Miss Giannetti, please no more, of course.
Of course you're on. You have never been in a hot tub with Colin Albert, correct?
Not that I know of, no.
You show him how you would throw a punch?
I don't remember that, no.
Who are your college roommates?
At some point, did you flip him around?
Yes, I just said that here as well.
Did you clench your fists that night? And I appreciate the fact that you're paying attention. At least one of us is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get overwhelmed easy, so
I'm not going to make up a time. I don't remember.
It wasn't going 50 miles an hour, correct?
I mean, I didn't have a radar gun on me, but no.
Did you squat down, show him how you want to get low?
More of an acquaintance, was he not?
That's correct.
I'm going to ask, what do you consider an acquaintance? How would you define that term?
I saw it pull up, stopped, pulled up again, stopped, pulled up again by the flagpole, stopped. That's all I saw.
There were 7 of you in a hot tub together, correct?
I don't think I would call it play fighting, no.
I don't know what you mean by this case.
You and the Alberts and the McCabe's celebrating the indictment of Karen Reed. Has anybody in this courtroom today asked you about the other mutual friends who were there? With your fists clenched, correct? Just today, after 12 noon on May 14th of 2024, correct?
Lally asked me how big it was, so I just told him right now, yeah.
It looked similar to Karen.
Right here, I could easily see.
A black object, yes.
I mean, you'd have to split it up and quantify what conversations were about the actual case and what conversations have been the harassment we've faced since then.
Well, she's high maintenance. I didn't really want to have to deal with it.
She's not a close personal friend of mine.
Yeah.
Isn't that correct?
Okay, if I said that, yes, because I was not sure. I'm still not sure that if he was there or not.
But I also was not looking out my window.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Did anybody in this courtroom ask you if you were looking out your window?
Objection, Your Honor.
Correct?
I wouldn't be staring at her grass, so no.
Okay. I didn't ask you where you were staring. I was just asking if there were any obstructions.
I believe in one portion of it, I was fooling around with Brian Higgins.
Fooling around?
That was an answer to a question that nobody asked you, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
You grab him in a wrestling hold?
I'm talking about what happened on January 28th and January 29th.
But there's really nothing to talk about those specifics, no, because we have nothing to say about that. We weren't part of it.
Well, what a day it was today. A little bit disappointing. I would say today was probably one of the best days for the defense. I think the prosecution has owned them most days, but not that anything really came out, but it just was such a dud. What the hell were all these witnesses doing? Yes, her blood alcohol for sure. I mean, I just don't feel like that's one of the charges. I think there's 3 sets of charges, right? There's murder 2, there's manslaughter, OUI manslaughter, and then I think it's just drinking and driving. I think there's 3. And so the blood alcohol goes towards the drinking and driving, but I mean, who gives a shit about that charge? Was she gonna lose her license for a year? I mean, the OUI manslaughter, or I think manslaughter is probably worse without the OUI component. I feel like this microphone sounds weird. Leaving the scene of an accident, that's right. I just felt all right, so the Higgins, whatever, I felt like I thought they were going to try to get more out of him. I feel like what did they really say? They didn't even put it all together. They kind of just said, oh, you could have been in the Sally Port at this time. That's it. So he could have been in the Sally Port at the time that the car was there. Does it matter? Does it really matter? Does it matter if he was in the Sally Port if we can see that her car is damaged? And if they haven't shown that video yet where she's backing into his car in the morning at 5 a.m. But I mean, in that video, when you slow it down, you can see the cracked taillight. You can see that, it's jagged. You can see that piece. And now that we see that second dent, which I don't think we really knew about before, because the defense, going on TV and saying she, backed in his car, that wouldn't have dented his tailgate like that, though. And so that tailgate dent, I believe it's from the glass, because the scraped up paint. It doesn't have to be. It could also be the scratches on the rear windshield. So I feel like it probably is from that. And it's like, all right, so at this point, so he went in the Sally port. He had potential to tamper with her car, right? But what the hell happened to her car that morning? Did it get hit by a meteor? Like, there's still no explanation for it. And how much trouble they'd have to go through to like plant this evidence, it's just absolutely ridiculous. And to plant someone's body on a lawn, it's just like, oh my God. So I don't know. I didn't feel like they got much out of Higgins. I mean, I guess like I don't know. Did he do more? I think he did more benefit overall. The text messages kind of gives us, that was our first inkling into like her diabolical nature. Not really even diabolical, but just sneaky. Just the sneaky and the lying. Because I think that most adults in their 40s were probably taken aback by that. Like, because I don't think that's normal behavior at 40. I don't at all. Especially if you're dating someone with kids and you're a parental figure. That's not normal. And people might just be like, oh, well, she's a cheater. It doesn't mean she's a killer, which is true. But it just doesn't make her seem like she cared about them and cared about the relationship. And so I don't know. I agree. It was very boring today. The doctor that came in the morning, he was super boring and he really was not prepared. I couldn't stand that doctor. He didn't want to like say anything. It's like he was completely unprepared. And it was like, I was annoyed by both him and Lally because it's like, Lally should have prepped him better, but then the guy also knew what he was coming here to talk about today. He knows this is a big case and he's going to have to look at the report to see if they even drew blood from her. Like what did he think he was going to testify about? Maybe he just thought it was mainly going to be about John O'Keefe because he said he didn't even remember treating Karen Reed at all, but he kind of remembered John O'Keefe. But then he's like, oh, they might have told me he was hit by a vehicle. And she smiled at that point. I have to find that clip because I don't like the jury's going to look at stuff like that and be like, okay, if they didn't put it in a report, it just makes her look like she's, exactly what they're doing. They're trying to find inconsistencies in reports, but like, she shouldn't be getting that happy about it. She's on trial for murder. And, it's just, I just can't stand her. I can't stand that team. I just really can't stand any of them. And, the dent in the taillight, the dent in the tailgate, I really didn't know about it. I heard it. I read it in the PCA, the original affidavit. But I didn't ever see it before. And like, after seeing it, it's kind of like that entire team knows she's guilty. Like, absolutely. She didn't just bump into something to break her taillight. That's a brand new Lexus. They know that she's guilty. And they went on this campaign to disparage all the witnesses, to intimidate all the witnesses. And it's coming out now that they talked to Turtle Boy. They had lunch with him way back in the last summer. Karen Reed talked to him for 189 hours, 189 calls and 40 hours of phone calls. They were colluding with him to, push this conspiracy narrative, and it worked. But the problem that I have with that is that it's so disgusting because they know it's not true. They knew that she was guilty from the beginning. Her parents knew that she was guilty from the beginning. And so them pushing this narrative, Colin Albert was confirmed by the feds to not be there. But David Yannetti was putting it out, oh, I got a call from Stephen Scanlon who told me Colin did it or is a potential suspect. Stephen Scanlon doesn't even know who Colin Albert is. And so it's like they purposely did this to tarnish the reputations of these people. with no evidence of any wrongdoing. Like, they knew she was guilty. Like, there's no other explanation for her car being cracked up like that. Like, what is it? What is it? And like, if you're on the free Karen Reed side, I know a lot of people are starting to be like, I know, like, the hardcore people, no matter what happens, there could be video of her doing it and they'll be like, that's a body double. So, you know, those people, it's just like, you don't even bother having the conversation with them. But it's like, you know, what is the explanation? What is the explanation that she ran around saying, I hit him to everybody, that she just cut off the family and like took off, that her car is all banged up like that? Because when you look at that taillight, it's just like, it's not just a cracked taillight. It is pulverized, as she would say. And part of it's like hanging out, the metal pieces hanging out, like that hit something heavy and solid and John O'Keefe's body. And so it's just unbelievable. And it's like, what is the explanation? There is no other alternative. Their third-party culprit defense has fallen apart. There's nothing left because, you know, the whole Colin Albert thing, that was a flop. Brian Albert, he got a new phone. And it's like, that's what they want to talk about, people getting phones 8 months after the goddamn murder. And it's like, who gives a shit who got a phone 8 months later? We're worried about her running around, finding a body underneath the snow with witnesses, saying she was never at the house when 7 people put her outside the house where the dead body was. And then she admitted she was there after denying it, after saying she left him at Waterfall. So in a normal murder case, you have like 1 or 2 eyewitnesses. In this case, there was 7 people that put her where the dead body was. And now we're going to get phone data. And I wish we saw that today, but we're going to have phone data that puts her where the body is. And so it's just gross, like what they're doing to these people. So like Colin Albert, especially Jen McCabe. Brian Higgins is probably going to lose his job, you know, because he used a machine, and she was really happy about that too. And like, that was another gross moment, because it's like, all right, you killed your boyfriend and you're gloating because you're getting this guy fired for extracting his messages off of his phone, which, I mean, they should already be in the custody of, you know, the Commonwealth, because they seized her phone. But who knows if they were gone from her phone or what. We don't know anything about her phone yet. But we do know that she tried to cover up things. We know about the ring cam disappearing. So who knows if she tried to scrub her phone. We know when they seized her phones in January, she was able to scrub one of them. Like, why does she have all these different phones? So that she can talk to Turtle Boy and plant stories in the news to send pictures of people's children, witnesses' children, to Turtle Boy so he can put them in his blog and they can, you know, do stuff to the kids' pictures. They did it to Gretchen Voss too. And it all came from Karen Reed. David Yannetti was part of it. Alan Jackson was part of it. And so they're really worried right now. I mean, Turtle Boy thinks that, if she's found not guilty, it means he's off the hook. It doesn't. But I mean, that's what he's thinking, because he's in big trouble. They really got him. Like, they let him make his bed. They didn't just, you know, they could have just like arrested him like quickly, but they built a case against him, and they have all the pieces. It is like the most complete case of witness intimidation that there is. So, I mean, that's what he's worried about right now. And they are really trying hard to push the social media stuff. You can see it. They blocked, like, I think they've all blocked me. Like, anytime I hear anything, I try to click on, like, who's this person? Because I don't really know all the drama between Turtle Boy and all his freaking weirdo friends. I just know they're a bunch of trash bags. But all of them have blocked me. So I think and I don't think that would be something that Turtle Boy would have done. I think that's something that Karen Reed's attorneys are telling him to do, or telling that group to do, because they don't want any of the differing opinions intervening. They want that narrative that they're pushing to just keep going out. And a lot of these people aren't pushing the same narrative that they've been pushing since April, even though most of it has been debunked. They're not even keeping up. They're still just pushing like, yep, there were dog bites, even though there's no dog DNA, that there was hardly any snow on the ground. So that's why you couldn't find, you know, there's no explanation of why they didn't see taillights or his shoe. And like people are still acting like the shoe was never found, because I think Turtle Boy said that once on court TV. And it's like the shoe was found the same day. Once the CERT team got there, and Matt McCabe was texting with them saying, oh, they found something at the Asian house. They found the shoe. Oh, I can't, these people. And it's just like, oh, what a miscarriage of justice, though. For all of this to like go on and on and on and on. And for what? For what? So that Karen can try to get away with it? Like, I just don't see even how she's going to get away with it. Unless like the jury is, you know, a bunch of turtle riders. Because just what we know so far, I think, you know, there's some question, you know, people are super sensitive about the stupid phones, but it's like they're misconstruing it because the phones, they weren't destroyed, and it wasn't like right away. It was like almost a year later or 9 months later. So it's like, first of all, cops aren't going to be texting about a murder on their phone to begin with. And then to think that it just has nothing to do with this. It has to do with, there's probably other BS on their phone that they didn't want people to see. Or they were like, oh, they're going to bring up, because they are bringing up stupid shit that is irrelevant. Like they brought up Colin Albert's social media. He's a kid, you know, fooling around, posturing with his friends, and they brought that up. So yeah, they are going to bring up whatever they can find. And it's just bizarre. It's like, why? How is this admissible? And the butt dials. I mean, so the butt dial thing, I think it's because the answer is butt dial. It's like people don't like that, but I can't look at my phone, and if you show me a call log from last month, even like last week, and they're like, explain all these calls, I don't know what the break, if I talked to someone, if I didn't, what I was trying to accomplish by any of those calls. So it's like a lot of these phone calls were not brought up to these people until a year and a half later, or 2 years later almost. So it's like, of course they're not going to remember, especially if it's a call that didn't go through. What else are you going to say? You're going to say, I don't know if that log is correct. I guess it was a butt dial, because I don't remember calling anybody. So I just think it's just such a joke that they're like able to push the butt dial stuff. And I think it's because they have so many people echoing it. And it's just, today was just, so we have that doctor that was, what did he add? What value did he add? He basically said he had hypothermia. He really couldn't give any details. The one thing that I do find strange is like Kerry Roberts also, when describing John O'Keefe's injuries, they only talk about the forearm. They don't talk about, you know, the upper arm. And the upper arm is where those deeper cuts were. And the doctor today also said it. He said his forearm had abrasions, right? So it's like, why are they not mentioning the bicep? Because the bicep, I thought that those were like the biggest scratches. It's just so strange. So was Turtle Boy allowed to be in the room with the kids while they were testifying, or was the media all kicked out of the room? Like, that's what I'm wondering. If there were people present when the kids were testifying, and maybe that testimony was really strong. So, I mean, to us, maybe it was like a boring day, but I mean, the kids' testimony could have been really powerful. We have no idea. And I don't know if we will get a report out on it or what. Okay, so I don't really trust what Turtle Boy is going to say, though. Like, is there another reporter? Are they allowed to report it? Like, Gretchen Voss has been there a lot. Oh, pen and paper only. That's so annoying. Why? Couldn't they just like record them and just change the voice or something? I mean, people know who the kids are. Okay, Albert and Higgins killed John O'Keefe. Okay, then what happened to Karen Reed's car? Did a meteor hit her car? Because there's a big dent in the tailgate, and then her taillight is pulverized. It's not from hitting anything else. And then did they brainwash her to run around that morning telling everyone I hit him? And then did they whisper in her ear that he was going to be beneath the snow where you can't see, right where you were parked last night, Karen? Like, come on. It just does not make any sense. There's no motive. Doesn't make any sense. What happened to her car? Come on, guys. Oh, so the kid's testimony is probably really good. I mean, the kids were probably stressed because Karen was like their mother figure a little bit for a little while, and like having to look at that face and, you know, testify and be like, I mean, they might not even know what they're doing. They might just be like, I'm telling the truth. They're not. And that's the thing. Like, there's been nobody that, especially I felt like, was trying to get out digs on Karen. I feel like they were all pretty nice to her. Maybe the two sisters. The two sisters maybe didn't like Karen. But like everybody else, I feel like was kind of like seemed honest. They didn't seem like they were trying to out to get her. So I'll have to look at that. Ted Daniels. Was there any bombshells in there? If anyone's read it, I'm just thinking like we kind of know what they're going to testify to. I think the son's main testimony that we know of was supposed to talk about her having access to the ring cam. And if he didn't say it, then nobody's saying it because he tried to get it out of Kerry. He tried to get it out of Paul. He couldn't get it out of anybody else. So it had to have been Patrick that said Karen has access to the ring cam. And then I think he just was going to testify about them fighting. The daughter was there that morning. I mean, I think the daughter's testimony is going to be, I mean, it depends on how much she said at the house, how much the girl heard. She's claiming the kids are lying. Like, who? Karen? I mean, what are you going to call her, defendant? What are they going to call her, the hot mess? I don't know if that's enough. She thinks she had access to the ring cam. I mean, so that would be, I would think that, well, she said that she told Higgins she knows where all the cameras are. I would think she has access to it. Are they going to be able to show when it was deleted, though? I hope so. From report is that you white? I don't know what that means. They can call her a toxic alcoholic. The daughter said that Karen always stuck up for the brother and had a stronger relationship with him. And she had a stronger relationship with John. Funny because Karen said she was close to the niece. That's what I was just thinking as I was reading that, is Karen's texts said, you know, I never wanted kids, blah, blah, blah. It's complicated because I am close to his niece, basically. So the blood alcohol, they read it in like 0.93 megaliters or whatever, but it translates to just over the legal limit. Like if you do the point, I think it's like 0.087 or something. I did the math. I don't know why they didn't. I don't know. They weren't like, I don't know. The witnesses today, I just thought it was like such a joke. Like, we don't want to hear about the megaliters or whatever the frick they were talking about. Like, I had to do math calculations. So I'm like, do the jurors even know? I feel like they needed to clarify, like, so that's not, like, the legal limit is 0.08. So she's at the legal limit, which means, you know, 6 hours before, 4 hours before, like 6 hours before, then she was like double the legal limit. I feel like that's all they have to say, but they wanted to get into all this BS. And why did we have to see two people saying that? Like, we believe you. Right? Just like she was a drunk bitch. I don't know. And like the thing is, I mean, maybe people just don't notice. Like, I feel like people are being honest, because if they weren't, they would just be like, Karen was hammered, right? Karen was drunk, like the night before. I don't even know if that really like helps her or hurts her, because if I was in her situation, I would be telling everyone I was hammered. I would be going for the OUI manslaughter, right? Like I would not want to, like, that's what I would be saying. I was drunk off my ass. I hit it in reverse. It was an accident. I just don't understand what like, why did they want to argue that she wasn't? They're just trying to get her with no charges at all. I mean, I think that's what it is. They're like going for like the all or nothing defense. And it's like, okay, she definitely did something. Yeah, that's what I would think too. She's an alkie, or she just has a high tolerance. Yeah, Lally was annoying the hell out of me. I mean, the doctor this morning too, he just couldn't. He said, I don't even know what you're trying to ask me. And it's like, both of them are just annoying. That's what I was thinking too, because the mother did say there was Karen has pills in her purse. Make sure she doesn't go in her purse. So she has something in there. So probably something that if you mix it with alcohol, you get loopy. I don't think the defense followed up with Higgins when he said that he left the bar not knowing who was going to 34 Fairview. He did call John asking where he was. Yeah, that's interesting. So, and I think at the bar, Higgins said that he talked to John, but not to Karen. So, I mean, maybe they were just there when they both said, when they were invited, and like he was just checking to see if they were coming. He's probably hoping to see Karen, maybe. I don't know. I can't tell if like Higgins probably was attracted to her, but he's probably like sketched out at the same time. So, but I don't think he had ill will towards John because of it, because I feel like it was so, like he said, it's so out of left field that he was kind of just like, I don't know. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, it could be something to do with MS, muscle relaxers. I know, why are they torturing us with the like, do they always torture? It's just so torturous. Like, this is so simple. This case is so freaking simple. And it's like, why do we need to overcomplicate it? She said she hit him a million times in the morning. She was saying he's dead. We get it. She went with two girls for whatever reason. We still don't know why she collected people. I agree with that too. They forgot who they were blaming for the murder. And this is true because like Jen McCabe's whole cross-examination was like, they started out with like, you would do anything for your family, but John wasn't your family, was he? And it was like setting the stage like she just had to protect her family. But then, well, if it's Higgins, that she didn't even know, but she's Googling how long to die in cold. She doesn't even have his number. Didn't work out. So I've always wondered. I wonder that too, because it is a strange thing. There's like a guy dead outside the house. I always thought that maybe she had a connection to somebody else, maybe not Higgins. Like, I didn't even know Higgins, but like I was thinking Higgins because I knew that they kind of talked. But now seeing that he stopped communication that morning, I always thought like maybe she had someone like helping her in some way, in the background. But maybe not. Maybe she did though. I don't know. Was she dating cops before? Or did John have other friends that she might have talked to? I don't know. I would hope they did a drug test. I don't know, but I don't know. Like it sounds like they drew her blood, and I don't know the details about drug tests, but aren't they like pee tests? Maybe you can get it from blood too. But you'd have to specifically know what your test. I don't know. I have no idea. He might have been hit by a plow. Seems like she could have been trying to set Higgins up, maybe. So I was thinking more about this as well. So if she, and like John steps, and like once we get into that, I feel like it's gonna like, who knows though, like this, because the Commonwealth, I believe, said at 12:46 is when they think that she went in reverse and hit him based on key cycle data. But the defense is worried about the goddamn Canton library footage from 12:27 to 12:29. So it's like they want to say that she's home by 12:41 for whatever reason. I don't know what the reason would be, and I think there is a voicemail at 12:41, which really like confuses me. The phones are just like the part that's gonna hopefully put the puzzle together. But I mean, at this point, I still feel like she's. I mean, what happened to her car? What happened to her car? If whatever, for whatever reason there was a motive, I don't think there is. So third party culprit, you have to prove that there is intent. I don't think they proved that. Motive. I mean, the only motive that they have is, it doesn't make sense though, because Higgins, his motive was he wanted to be with Karen, or it was like John confronted him about the text and they got no fight. But then Higgins framed Karen for murder because he wanted to be with her. I don't know. So intent and opportunity. So opportunity, that's the one that's like, there's no opportunity unless it's Higgins, because it, especially when their phone data comes out. But from what we know, because Higgins, like, I don't think that and I'd have to go look at the testimony again, but like, I remember like Brian Albert's son was like, I don't know if Higgins was there at the time when they were looking out the window at Ryan Nagel's truck. So I just don't know what the timeline is when he really left. It's like kind of confusing because it says like, I think he left it open between 12:30 and 1, which is the time when Karen Reed was out there. So if he left before Karen Reed left, I don't know. Like the people in the truck don't say anything about the Jeep. It's so weird. And in that truck, or that, when Julie Nagel is texting, I think it's like 12:24. So that's not even in the range of time when Brian Higgins said that he left. And he would have just gotten there. So it's like, I don't know. So Brian Higgins must have went out right after Karen drove away. Or maybe he was, I don't know. He said he didn't even know she was out there. He didn't know that they were out there, which could be true. But the thing about the plow, what I think, if the plow was sitting right there, like by the mailbox, she probably almost hit the plow. Because if she backed into John going 24 miles an hour, she would have had to brake and swerve to not hit the plow. And, maybe what else would she be doing though in reverse? So I'm like, maybe she cut the wheel in the wrong direction and hit John instead. But like, there's no reason for her to be flying in reverse like that. So, but it sounds like that was in her mind, that the plow was there. And that's why she said the plow the first thing in the morning, because she had to swerve around the plow to not hit it after she hit John. And like, as she was driving away, she saw John on the ground and a plow. And so like, it just makes sense that that's maybe, even if she didn't vividly remember what happened, that image probably started to come back. So someone hit him. It just doesn't make sense that Higgins would do it and then cover it up, right? And it doesn't look like he was beaten. I don't think it looks like that. I just think it looks like, you know, the taillight, like his arm and like all that stuff is like, I don't know. Yeah, the plow would just be like a long, like if you got hit with the edge of the plow, it would be like one consistent long cut. If the edge of it hit you. Her SUV was in reverse with the back end pointing towards the flagpole. That's what makes it a 3-point turn. So I think they backed away from the 3-point turn because she ends up driving away in the same direction. I believe she told Proctor the first day that it was a 3-point turn. But then she wasn't on the Temple camera, so she didn't go out that, whatever that other street is, Cedar Crest. She went out by Chapman. So she wasn't on all those cameras. Or whatever. Who knows if she circled back around. But she didn't do a 3-point turn. I don't know if someone saw her driving down the street. I think she was always facing the same direction, though. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, even, and they are parsing words so much, like, it's such a big deal if it's like, I hit him or did I hit him? Like, to me, those are, I mean, maybe one is an admission, one's not, but I feel like it tells us the same thing. You're considering that you hit him, or you're saying that you did. Like, I don't think it's that different. So, like, when the fact that she went on TV to say, I said it with a did and a question mark instead, like, okay, you're still saying, like, did I hit him? But then at the same interview, she's saying, I saw him walk up the door and go in the house. Right. I agree. That's pretty much, that whole interview was just such a disaster. She says, I may have incapacitated him unwittingly, and then in his drunkenness, he passed out. So she says that's what she originally thought. And then a few minutes later, he's like, so is it possible that you hit him with your very large SUV? And she says, no. And it's like, okay, you're saying no, but you just said you thought that you could have incapacitated him unwittingly. It's just so bizarre. It's like, she can't even get her lies straight. I mean, she hit something. Like, what else did she hit? It's just so annoying. It's just so unbelievable that people are still believing this crap. Like, there's just not a real legitimate explanation besides that she hit him. And, you know, maybe we don't know if it was on purpose or if it was an accident or whatever. Yeah, but what we do know is that she realized that she hit him that morning at some point. And I mean, she was already saying it before they even went there, though. If that's true. And that would be like a key thing if the daughter heard anything like that, the niece. Because that would be key. I mean, I think Carrie, the stuff that she's saying to Carrie and Jen, and those are two different people, unless they're trying to set her up. It's like, come on now. We know that she did it. Like, it's just not even a legitimate. It's not really a legitimate question if she did or not. Like, she did it. I mean, it's really a question of, like, was it an accident? So this is, and so this is what I think happened from what I know of right now.
I never wanted kids. I fucking hate you.
I answered the phone and she said, John's dead. Carrie. And then she hung up.
So she said, I hit him?
I was personally given was just, I hit him. Oh my God, I hit him.
She was just acting kind of erratic and kind of running around screaming different things.
She repeated, I hit him?
Individual that replied several times, I hit him.
Karen, did you ever say I hit him? I did not. I said I hit him?
It was several times.
Because he's dead.
She's dead. I think I struck something.
It was preceded by a did.
I said, could I have hit him?
And proceeded by a question mark.
Absolutely no canine DNA.
What?
I mean, that dent, I was just looking at that dent because I hadn't seen it before, and I'm like, what happened to it? Like, what is the option for that dent, legitimately? And if it was, originally I was thinking, oh, his head could have hit there, but like, the fact is that there are two, it's like those two scratches. See these two scratches like right up top here? It's like that has to be from glass. Like that can't be, because that's the windshield. And then right here where the green arrow is pointing, that's all chip paint too. That has to be something hard. So I feel like it's really going to be, I mean, the glass makes sense because the shape of that glass and that heavy bottom. And it's like, all right, well, who, how, what hit our car? Did a meteor hit the car and hit the taillight? Like two meteors. Like there's just nothing. There's nothing that can be explained about what happened to our car. It's so annoying. And then like the aerial view of that same spot. It's hard to see because of all the reflections here, but like you could still see the two little scratches and then the dent. So I feel like that could have been the glass. I was thinking it could be his phone, but I'm like, no way, the phone would not dent the car because the phone's not heavy enough. I think it has to be that glass. And that glass, the shape of that glass, that's the reason that it's like that heavy bottom wouldn't break. And that's the reason that they found the glass. I always wondered why they found clear glass and not the taillight at the time. And it's because that bottom probably, even if that bottom cracked in half, that's not shattering into a million pieces. That's going to be, solid and together. Exactly. Well, he must be dead on the side of the road. It's a blizzard. He must just be taking a nap on the side of the road and dying in the cold. I just wish that we got to see our goddamn voicemail or something today. Like, what a freaking shitty week. I mean, for both sides, really. Like, because the prosecution, I mean, the defense really couldn't really. I mean, the defense, I know people are like, oh, they're doing so good. I mean, they're poking holes and everything, but like, what though? Like, the basic facts of the case are still that the car was banged up and she was saying I hit him. And there's no explanation. There's no alternative explanation as to what happened to our car. Now that we know that there's more dents, and like that's something that infuriates me so much. Is that like if they knew about this second dent, and her father went on TV and said, "Oh, it's from backing into his car." But they knew about these other dents and these other scratches and this other shit. Because it's like, even so, they've been lying the whole time. They've been implicating Colin Albert and these other people. I have to get the photo, but like, there's just so much more to it than just what they're pretending it is. So if I find a picture. So if I remove that and I add screen. Let's look at iCloud. I'm gonna make that bigger. But like, see these scratches on the side here? Like that couldn't be from backing into his car either. So it's like, oh, are you trying to fool? So they just basically made up this thing to implicate these innocent people. And that's something that really is, it's just disturbing. It's so disturbing because they all knew this was a lie. And, you know, the ethics, the professional ethics, I think are just totally, I understand defense attorneys need to like represent the client the best way possible, but I don't think you can be implicating innocent people. Like, especially Colin Albert, like the feds corroborated that he was not there, that he had already left. So for them to like somehow drag his social media in and the picture of his knuckles and like all this crap, and now all these fight videos of him are coming up, and Turtle Boy's gloating, well, now the entire nation knows Colin Albert's face and all this stuff, and these people will never have a normal life again. At least we can be happy with that. The best they're ever going to have is people are like, those are the people that got away with murder. Like, that is just so sick. So sick. Because when you look at this taillight, there's like, you can't, there couldn't be scratches on the side like that, right? There's just, how can it be? If it's from crashing, and then this whole gray piece that's like knocked out, that's because his body hit it. Like there was a ton of weight that hit this taillight, you can tell. And it's like, it's just so sick. I mean, this is the part of the case that's really sickening. It's kind of understandable that maybe she was drunk, maybe she had a rage. I mean, it's not really understandable that she left him there, but let's just say she was, you know, blacked out, like she pretended that she was originally. I just don't get it. So I thought about if he was bent over, and he could be. I wonder what they're going to say, the accident reconstructionist. I just think his head could have hit anything on the back of that car. I mean, your head splits open easily. So, I mean, usually pedestrian car accidents, they have a front and a back head injury. So it's like your head hits the car, but your head also is the heaviest thing, or it's what hits the ground the hardest when you land on the ground. So, I mean, his injury could have come from the initial impact or the secondary impact. And we don't know. So that's the thing that I think about too, is how did she think he was getting home? So she tells Carrie, her stories are just so inconsistent. So she told Carrie, I wasn't even supposed to stay in Canton that night. And he never would have not come home with Kaylee home. Okay. But why? So what was the plan? At 12:30, you're going to watch her sleep and then pick him up? Or like, why wouldn't she be staying over? And like her text message with Brian Higgins are saying that all of her stuff was in Canton. Everything was there. She basically lived there and her house was vacant. But then when she comes in that morning after telling Paul O'Keefe, oh, I just want to say hi to the kids, or I want to see the kids, or whatever she said, she comes in, she's going to get her stuff out of the bedroom, and she has one tiny small bag. So what? So was her stuff already, like, that's the thing, like their relationship, I just don't know what stage of the breakup they were in. It does seem like they were in some stage of a breakup though. Based on like the calls with Higgins, it sounds like she didn't want it to break up, but she knew it was crumbling, or pieces of it were crumbling. It really, I have no idea what he was thinking. Like, we won't know until we see his text, and I think that's probably it, because nobody's really commented on the relationship. Like, I think Jen said he talks about the relationship. I think the babysitter with benefits thing is probably something. It sounds like that's what Karen was complaining about, maybe. From the Aruba trip, because it sounds like she's like, I don't care if he was cheating, don't leave me home with the kids. And then that's what he was maybe doing the night of Fairview. He's like, go home. I don't know. Like, the whole thing is just so bizarre. I just, like, but she does seem like she snaps. Just from some of the things that we've seen, like how she was flipping off Higgins when he said hi to her, or was beeping the horn at her, and she's like, fuck you. My husband's a Boston cop. Get away from me. And like how she just like screamed across the lobby, like, go fuck yourself to the girl in Aruba. Like, that's not. And then like how they kind of described her personality, where she was like, even though like she was in a panic when they found him, but they all kind of said that she would like calm down and then get all irritated. Maybe that's a normal, I don't know. It just seems like they were saying something. They were all very consistent in that description of her changing emotions drastically, where she was sad and then she'd perk up and then she'd be snarky towards Carrie, and then she'd be worried about like, oh, I'm definitely not taking care of these kids. I'm out. So like, I just don't know. I don't know. I really want to see the text. I want to hear her voicemails. It's just, what else are we going to hear from these witnesses? So we have, I think we were supposed to get a trooper today. I think that's what the judge said, is like, sometimes the law enforcement, their schedules change and they can't like whatever be here or something. And that's why they ended early. I think they were supposed to go to 4:30. So I wonder what trooper it is. The cult or the Free Karen Reed people are trying to, I've seen like an uprising of hateful messaging around Trooper Garino and Yuri. Yuri, it doesn't seem like the worst thing they have on Yuri is he's like doing a striptease at a wedding or something. So like, I don't know. I don't think they have much on him. But Garino, they're all like, this is the guy that like covered up Sandra Birchmore's death or something. So, and it's interesting. I know it's coming from Karen Reed's defense now. Like, I think we all kind of know now that everything that's coming out from the Free Karen Reed crowd is directly from Karen Reed and her attorneys. So there's a reason, and it's like foreshadowing. They're gonna, I don't know if they can bring that stuff up, but they're trying to like disparage Garino because he must have some strong testimony. And I think like his main role was to extract the phones. I think he mapped the coordinates, and they used the Sartopo app, which I think is going to help them because it has elevation in it. So it's going to be able to see, the flights of stairs, like where he was downhill, uphill, as well as GPS coordinates on a map. So that should be interesting. And then I just don't know who they're going to have read the messages. It could be Yuri. It could be Garino. It could be any of them. Hopefully Lally chooses someone that's going to be entertaining. Not entertaining, but like is going to, I don't know. I thought Brian Higgins did okay because Brian Higgins had a lot of reading. But I just hope he chooses someone that's not going to be painful to like listen to, that's going to stutter through the whole thing. And, it's just, I want to hear the important parts spoken properly. So I have some good sound clips. Not really just that, but just, I want to hear the impact properly of those texts, of what John is saying, of what Karen's saying. And especially what Karen did that night. I think everyone's curious about it. Even her followers, they're like, did she really go to bed? I think they're worried about it. They're definitely worried about it. They're definitely worried about her cell phone data. Because nobody knows. Because the defense has never talked about it, which means it's probably not good. Probably not good at all. Because if it was anything good, I don't know what could be good. Like, so David United from the beginning was saying she started making phone calls at 5:30 a.m., which we know. So that was like, or not 5:30. He does say 5:30, but it actually started earlier. So it's going to be interesting to see who she really called first. Why would it be Jen McCabe first? I mean, that's not even her friend. Carrie, at least she had Carrie's number. And then Katie Camerano. I wonder if Katie Camerano is first. I think Katie Camerano, she didn't start calling. I think Jen was the first that we know of, which is just a weird, why wouldn't, so she knew, that's why she knew. She knew where the fuck he was. I mean, you could argue that, well, Jen was out with them the night before. Maybe she was blacked out. I mean, she might have really thought that she knew she hit him and she's like, oh shit, I gotta get out of here. Drove away, hit her car in the garage because she's just thinking, not realizing how bad she hit him and thinking that, oh, people are going to come out of the house and help him, right? And she might not have thought he was laying there in the cold all night. And so, like, she gets home, she rages on his voicemail, passes out, and then, like, I just want to know what triggered her to start panicking in the morning. Because was it just that he didn't come home? Was it, I mean, did she start calling? Do they have an app where she can see his location even? I mean, if that's the case though, and she didn't go right there, that's kind of sketchy. I don't know. I think there is something on her phone. But the thing is, so what I'm like really curious about, so Lally, especially because Lally is so confident about this case, there has to be something on her phone, or John's are the cameras. And so that's the thing. That's what I think too. But at the same time, it makes me question it, because if they're so, why is the defense harping on the goddamn library thing between 12:27 and 12:29? Because her phone should put her in a certain spot, unless they aren't able to track her location, maybe, for whatever reason, or it's not going to be exact, or they're going to dispute it. I don't know. There's something about that time frame though that I think is going to be the battle of the experts, because they want to say that she should have drove by the Canton Library, and I think Lally saying that she was still there. But the thing is, even if the ring cam was deleted, if she got home at a certain time, I think it would still have an event log for that time. So, but the daughter could have opened a door. They don't have an animal or anything, I don't think, but it doesn't mean that the daughter didn't open a door and walk in somewhere either. So, I mean, I just don't know. There's going to be some kind of battle about that timing. Because from the very early on, they were always saying she was home by 12:41. They made up a bunch of different reasons for it. They did say ring cam at one. Well, Turtle Boy said ring cam at one point. They said the voicemail, they could hear her high heels on the floor, which to me, that's just not a strong. I just don't think that's a strong argument at all. Because, like, can you really hear them on the floor? Like, there's a lot of things that were probably making noise. Windshield wipers, there's lots of noise. Or was she at that park, the Pickwitside Park? Maybe she stopped there and was walking around there and yelling at him because she knew her taillight was. Maybe she pulled off to look at her taillight there. I mean, that would be great. I don't know. It's really interesting. But the thing is, I don't think that happened, because if she did pull to Pickwitside and look at her taillight, then they wouldn't be like harping on this Canton Library footage, because that means she was on the other side of town, right? Unless they're going to try to argue that's not her, that's someone else. But I just don't know. Yeah. So the garage door being broken. I mean, that's the thing that I'm wondering about, is like what stage of the breakup they were in. Was she really not supposed to be at the house? Like, was she meeting him out? Were they like, hanging out as like a non-custodial couple? It's just so strange. Or maybe they had a makeup. I know they had a fight the day before, or the same day, maybe earlier that day, about the Dunkin' Donuts, which it just seems like such a small fight that we're like, I just don't know why they would be fighting so much about that. But Yeah, I'm wondering if she had to like either break the garage door to get in there. Maybe he changed the code on her. I just don't know, because he moved his car out of the garage so that she could park there. He said that to his friend. So I don't know what the garage door being broken would have to do with anything. Because I think even if it was programmed by a ring and she changed the code, I think you still could, from being in the house, put it down, I would think. Oh, so the clip that we saw at midnight, right? So I looked at those clips briefly. Let me see if I can find it. I don't think it showed anything important, though. Like, one was basically... I have it. All right, so this is the 12 midnight clip. So there's not a lot of snow. It's like a dusting. And so this would show, is this her? Like, you can't even see the tail light though. And then 5 a.m. I don't think they showed her in this clip. Or showed anybody. So I feel like this is, they were just trying to say, to validate that this is like, you know, and when he gave him the disc, the guy was like, this isn't mine. That was a little weird. It was just annoying. Like, I mean, I guess they're trying to like vet it out to like, but yeah, I think it was this part when he's like, that's not mine. Like, I don't know what that is. That was a little weird. But like, he had the clips from like all the clips in the city. So like, he had the Piquet side clips as well, but they only really talked about the library footage. So I feel like the library footage is only like good footage. I don't know. It's annoying. Yeah, Lally is today. I just think was just such a bad day. I mean, I just don't know what this guy's thinking. Because to me, if this was my case, I would, because the defense has done a good job of ending on really like questionable parts. And this is the time when the jury's not going to be back for almost a week. So it's like, I don't know. They didn't even show anything though. We should have at least showed her car with the smashed out taillight or something. So it's like annoying. I don't know. I just don't feel like maybe he wanted to get the kids in today because maybe the kids had really strong testimony and he thought that would stick with the jury over the weekend. I don't know. I just don't think he did the right thing for the media perspective, which is, it's not everything. I don't know. I feel like he needs to think about the media because the way that, because we know Alan Jackson reached out to a bunch of people. You know, Turtle Boy was just one of many. So Alan Jackson reached out to a ton of people to push his version of the story. And so they are still counting on that to taint the jury pool. And so that's why Lally has to like think about dropping bombs and trying to get stuff out that is going to make people, you know, the reasonable people back away from she was set up. I have no idea what the hell he's doing. Why did he show that clip? I mean, it seems like he was just, I don't know, like, why show a useless clip? Why not show her car? We want to see it. It didn't look like it's even going to be. So the 12 o'clock one, like, I don't even understand. Like today, I just feel like he maybe had like a long weekend and he was just trying to like get through the day. But at the same time, it's like, you are the main person that we're counting on to, show the evidence. Let's see what's going on. So is this supposed to be her car? Like, it's because I mean, if this is the best quality that they can get and it's a still, like, why are they showing a still? And why are there only 2 in that file? Like, it's just so weird. Yeah, I do feel like Lally is just like, so he's pointing with the pointer. He's like, this is Sherman Street. But I'm like, I can barely even see that car. So in the morning, or the footage that's missing, she would have been driving on Sherman Street. So it's like that crossroad. But it's like, are we even going to be able to see? I mean, we don't even know if she went this way. And it's like, why are they so certain that she went this way? And why is this the only way that they can try to prove it? Because shouldn't she have other, like her phone's not showing where she's driving around to? It's just like so weird. Yeah, I don't know why they would just show this. But like, that's the thing too, though. So they said it's like motion activated, but then this one is, there's no motion in it. And so why is it recording? Like, what is wrong with these people? Like, Lally's shown a bunch of bad clips. When he was doing a direct examination of Jen McCabe, she said that they looked at the taillight before they went in the house, and then he shows a clip and they're not looking at the taillight at all. Like, Jen didn't even walk behind the car. And it's like, shouldn't he have, like, in their prep, shouldn't they have looked at a few of the videos just to make sure that, and I mean, maybe she couldn't change her testimony because she testified that way in front of the federal grand jury, but like, that just seems odd to me that they're not prepped at all. Like, because people do forget. And it annoys me that, a lot of these witnesses weren't interviewed right away. That is the most frustrating part from what I've seen so far. Like, I don't know if there's really, I don't think the solo cups are that big of a deal. I feel like it was a blizzard. They needed to like get the evidence that they could. I think the snowblower actually was a good idea now that I understand, because it was all pink snow. And that's the thing that people have been saying forever is like, there was no blood. So we saw like the pink snow, there was blood underneath the snow, and they had to blow off the top layers. So I feel like, okay, that makes sense. So they got the samples. And then, but the thing with the witnesses, some of the witnesses that were not interviewed for like a year, until like that just blows my mind. It just aggravates the hell out of me, because they're not going to remember. And I mean, the butt dialing stuff, they weren't asked about those phone calls, a lot of them, until a year later. So it's like, they're not going to remember if they made a call. Like, even just looking at my phone, I don't know what calls I made. So it's like, it's really annoying. And they're making stuff, like they're making things, something out of nothing. So, a missed call, it does not mean that you were covering up a murder. It doesn't mean you were looking for a phone. Oh, that's just so annoying. So all the blood that they got at the scene was John's blood. So it wasn't the evidence that they collected blood samples at the scene, probably thinking like it could be a mix of blood from the perpetrator, but it wasn't. Yeah, I just wish that, I don't know, I just think that Lally doesn't, I mean, in a way, I feel like he's doing a job that, I don't know, I just don't think I mean, is this his only case right now? Does he have a whole bunch of other cases? Like, I have no idea. But sometimes I feel like I know this stuff more than he does. And I'm just like, what are you doing? Like, these witnesses today, did we really need to hear from both of those guys that drew her blood? And I mean, weren't they both saying the same thing? Like, did either one of them, like, nobody testified to her making more statements today, right? I thought that they did. So it's just weird. I mean, the psychologist or whatever, maybe that's the one that's going to be like, she knew she hit somebody. I don't know. I just wish that they had at least something interesting to say today. But it was like, okay, she was drunk. I think we already knew that. Like, I mean, the free Karen Reed people are like, she wasn't drunk. She was drinking water. And they were just charging her for vodka. Because I think there's a receipt from McCarthy's showing that she got like 6 shots or something. Or like 3 shots and 3 drinks or something like that. Yes, the still shows midnight. And I guess that's her car, but I don't even think that's the right time because they didn't leave the waterfall until later. So, or maybe the time's off. That would be interesting. Yeah, and that's the thing. So, yeah, I know. Why are they fighting so hard about the blood alcohol? Just tell her, just admits. I feel like that would be more believable if she just admits something. But it's like, even in her interviews on TV, she's like, oh, no, I wasn't drunk. I wasn't overserved at all. But it's like, wouldn't that be helpful? I mean, considering the way that she was acting, the comments that she was making that morning, if you're sober acting like that, you definitely, I mean, it's even worse. Oh, I've seen that too. I mean, I think that I'm just like so annoyed with like waiting for the good evidence. I know that he's trying to like end his part of the case on a strong note, probably. I mean, we're not even near the end though. Like, he needs to start giving us some breadcrumbs. Like, I just want to hear our voicemail. Like, I feel like our voicemail is what I wanted to hear. I mean, they did her state of mind, right? So that part of the case, state of mind was, it started with the 2 sisters, and then it was Higgins, like her text, and then it was the kids. So the kids like knew the relationship. And so I would think, okay, state of mind, then you do the voicemails and the texts, right? Like from that whole period. But it's just like, I don't know. The order is just like really annoying. Because like, I don't give a shit about the people trying to resuscitate him and what temperature he was. And so it was them, it was the blood alcohol people. And then it's like, oh, the plow guy. Like, none of it was good. Like, everyone today was just such a boring waste of time. I mean, I guess they're trying to establish that Lucky Lawfren. I mean, that whole thing is going to be a disaster. I can't wait for that. I was hoping that was going to happen today. I just can't understand if he actually plowed or not. If, they're not bringing up the Ford Edge. They didn't bring it up to Colin Albert, even though they accused him in open court of having a Ford Edge. Like in the pretrial, but they didn't even bring up a Ford Edge when they talked to any of those Alberts. So it sounds like they didn't have a Ford Edge, or they're not even worried about that now. I mean, what is the theory? What the hell is the theory? That did Brian Higgins have a different Ford Edge at the police station that he came back with to bury the body? Like, nothing makes any sense. Or is that car that he saw out there? I don't know. I don't think that John's car was driven. I suspected that at one point because the car, there was like a motion or something where Yannetti was looking for footage of the ring footage because he said the cars were moved around. But It looks like that car was in the same spot. What is Paul O'Keefe doing? He has a plastic baggie filled with mints. I think they're like lifesavers or something. Is that his mom's? It does. It looks like a lifesaver. I've remembered that, but they didn't make the connection on the Ford Edge. And I know that Lucky Lawford said the Ford Edge was like gray or beige or something, and Albert's Ford Edge is black. And Lucky Lawford specifically said he knows it's not Brian Albert's Ford Edge, which is strange to me because it's like he knows his car, like he knows him that well that he knows his car. It's weird. I just want to know. I can't wait till they like at least talk about the Ring video, something. Give us something. Because at least even if we don't see the Ring footage, we could still see like the timestamps of when, you know, events happened, like when someone came in the front door, the back door, whatever. If she was in and out of the house all night, I mean, that's something at least, like to show like what she was thinking at that point in time. The kid said she had no access to the Ring. That's interesting. That's sketchy as hell. So, I mean, his phone, I think, well, when we get his phone extraction, I think they would have said it though. If someone was playing around with his phone in the middle of the night or anything, it doesn't sound like his phone moved at all from that spot. And Carrie said she picked up his phone. That's false. So that's what I figured. I mean, I'll have to look and see. But irregardless, I think we just need to see the phone when it was really like his phone too, because they're saying like Jen McCabe, or he had missed calls from Jen McCabe. I mean, that whole thing is going to be interesting to see the Celebrate experts. Karen had his password figures. Lally asked M2 if Karen Reed had access to computer in upstairs room. M2, I don't think the defendant had an account on the computer, but she could go in the room. Oh, well, that's not great. Of course she can go in the room. I mean, she definitely had his password, but I do think the damage on the car is crucial. I mean, to me, that's the whole thing. I mean, that's a lot of damage. That's a new car. Like, it didn't. And if you look at the damage, and if you really think about it, like, there's just no way that something like that, like, you can't have damage like that from a flat object, right? Like, it has to be from, you know, like I always say, like a tree branch or a human. So I just think that tail light broke because it sticks out more than the rest of the car. And, you know, it's 6,000 pounds, 20 miles an hour, hitting a 200-pound solid guy, or 200, he's probably more than 200 pounds. could break it. Maybe she did hit a gorilla. Maybe it was Harambe. There's just no other explanation. Yeah, I mean, and we've seen I've seen forensic pathologists that are just basically saying, they've had taillights and embedded into pedestrians, and it's really just all about, it's the force. I always say it wrong. Mass times acceleration equals force, and it's Newton's law. It was established in 1687. I might be wrong about the exact year, but it's something in the 1600s. And, it's going to break. And that's why, in his phone, that glass, I just think that glass, that dent on the tailgate just really solidifies it for me. I don't know. And it's not just the dent, but it's these scratches up here. It's those scratches, and it's the paint peeled off, the scratches. And then even if I come way back here, I might not be able to see it. But even the scratches right here, see right to the right of where that taillight is, was that his belt? Is that the missing belt? I would think that that's something by something hard. But it could also be that red piece was stuck in his sleeve and it scratched the car as he was thrown off of it. Yeah, but even if she did hit his car, I just don't think it would, it would have been bumper to bumper. But say for instance, it did crack the taillight. It didn't scratch along the side of her car like that. And it didn't make that bump in the tailgate and scratch the glass, up here where this glass is hitting. I just think that's the glass hit there. I just don't know what else could have scratched the windshield without smashing it. Because I think if it was I just don't know what he could be wearing. If he was wearing, I don't know. I just don't know what else could do that besides an object. I don't think that the phone would be heavy enough to scratch the glass. Usually, most people's phones are wrapped in plastic. But just the shape of it, I just think it was a heavy glass. So 24 miles per hour in the snow. It's a V8, so you just have to tap the gas and you're going 20 miles an hour in reverse. I don't think. I agree. She barely bumped his car. I don't think it would break the taillight. And I don't even think it made contact. I think that his car was slanted. I don't think it would hit. Yeah, so the warning sensors, and I had a similar car a few years ago. It would break automatically, hard brake. And so it does look like his car moves. So I can't tell. I can't tell if his car moves or not, or if it's edited, the version that we've been seeing. But I never thought that I could see it, but then I saw one video where I'm oh, it definitely moved, and it might have been enhanced. I don't know. But either way, I just don't think that's going to break your taillight. She wasn't going fast enough. And then you would have seen the pieces on the ground. You would have seen the pieces fall. Because as she's driving away, you can absolutely see it. So, like, let me find one. And this is like a still of as she's driving by. But like, see how the top piece is jagged? And that's because at the top of this red piece that's sticking out, why is that top doing that? Ugh, that's going to torture me. So there's like light coming from the top because this is more of like a up on the roof looking down, and it is capturing that jagged edge. So if you look at the bottom left picture, it should be dark all the way down, like in a specific line. And it's not, because that whole bottom piece is missing. And that's the missing piece that they find at the scene. So this is at 5 a.m. and it's like, there's just no you can't be like, oh, they planted pieces. No, it should be dark like you see on the left-hand side. Like it should be all dark. It should be a straight line. It should not be some jagged, raggedy thing. And then like the lights are out, like where it's white when she's driving away, you can see that the lights are out. So there's no way that happened from hitting his car. No way. If it was just a crack, like they were saying for a while. And like, that's the thing too, it's semantics. Some people are going to call it a crack. Some people are going to call it shattered. I would never call it shattered, because especially the way that it looks like with snow caked on it, I would always be like, broke it, or cracked it. Like, I don't know. I just don't think there's an explanation. Like, there's no way that happened from his car. And then we know about the tailgate dent too. So that's the thing. I know some people have said that, and like, to me, I don't know, maybe. But like, at the same time, why is she bringing up the taillight and saying, did I hit him? Could I have hit him? If it was a cover up already? I kind of feel like once she realized what she did, I don't think she was, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, you really will never know with her, because I don't think she's normal. But I kind of think that the father was the one that was like, got control of her, because she was wild, saying I hit him, trying to like threaten that she was going to commit suicide. And like, I think the father was like, all right, you're not going to talk to these people anymore. We're getting you a lawyer, and do not say I hit him again. And then, and I wonder if that whole rumor, so it was on the news that there was ring cam of the accident, which is so weird, because then the ring cams are deleted. But like, there was a ring, and different ring cams, but like, that was the rumor initially, that it was like there was a ring cam of her hitting him. And whether that was the media, whether someone put that out, but like, that might have been why in the beginning she was like saying it was an accident, because they thought that there was going to be a ring cam. And then when they found out there wasn't, that's when they were like, okay, we'll say it's a conspiracy. Like, Karen, go home and do your lunch lady research on Facebook. So like, Karen's the one that like originally found, like, we thought it was like Turtle Boy, because like, he does do the same kind of lunch lady research, like looking through people's Facebook pictures and stuff. And so she's the one that found, I think, the Colin Albert and Trooper Proctor wedding picture. And then she found the picture of Michael Proctor with the two girls that they claim is Jen McCabe's girls. It's not though. It's definitely not, because I've looked into that. It's ridiculous. Because I don't know. It's just so hard. Like young kids, it's so hard to like people that you don't know, even in pictures. It's like could be. I don't know. But she was the one that started all that stuff. So it wasn't really Turtle Boy. It was Karen. And it was in that time frame. So like, I believe, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I think it's when she says he was beaten up by Colin Albert and Brian Albert, like that's going to come into the trial at some point. So was that so she was originally arraigned in February, and that's when he was saying it was an accident. And then when she got indicted on murder too, I think she was arrested again. And I think that's when she said that about Colin and Brian Albert. And I think that was in like April maybe of 2022. So she had time to like think of that. And so then they did the preservation orders in September of 2022. And then I don't know when she hired Jackson. I know like Yannetti has some interviews where he's saying, what is he saying? He's saying like, oh, we have something, but I'm not ready to share it. And I'm like, what was it though? Because maybe it was the Lucky Loughran thing. But I just feel like that's so weak. If there really was a car there, but like, why hold on to that for so long? They thought they were going to have like a bombshell. So like, I think maybe that's what it was. That's what his initial thing was, is that Lucky Loughran told the PI he saw a car out there. And I think maybe that's what got Yannetti thinking maybe it's true. Maybe, something else happened. And then Karen like latched onto it. I don't know. And then Scanlon, that whole thing with Scanlon, he was trying to get Scanlon to support the theory. And Scanlon was like, I don't know what you're talking about. But I mean, the whole thing is like blown up. And the cult can't see it, which is strange. But I mean, what happened to our car? What happened to our car? That's all I want to know. I just want some explanation. Like, people are still saying dog bites, and I'm just like, are you stupid? Like, they're not dog bites. Like, they are not dog bites. And so, here's the thing. So, like, he talked about his forearm today. And so, he said abrasions. And then he's like, what's an abrasion? He said scratches. All right. So I guess you can classify it as scratches, but it's like the levels of the dermal layers are not all sliced through, so it's not a laceration. But it does look like impact the way that, how Nuttall says they're furrows. It's like chunks like missing, chunks of skin like missing. And so like I see that as impact. And that's like the elbow, that's the forearm, and that's what they talked about. But then it's just so strange to me, like how the guy today, what if this is not a real picture? Because like that picture that I got from the news, this one, and that looks very different. I mean, it's still the lower ones are the same, but like they only talk about the forearm, and Kerry only said about the forearm. So it's like, is this not real? Like, why don't they mention these? They only mention the forearm. Maybe because the forearm had the most. But like, still, I feel like you would say the whole arm. It's just really weird to me. I'm really thinking that this could be fake. But I thought that I did see something like this. All right, but that's the thing. So dog bites would never look like this, ever. And that's the layers of the dermis are not broken all the way through. That's how you know it's impact. These aren't like anything with a puncture will have raised edges. And like this might not be like, this picture's pretty good though, like where you can kind of see it. But it's like there's not raised edges. It's not a puncture. Like that's how you know that it's an impact abrasion. It's like there's just pieces. So like wherever you hit, if you hit something sharp, a puncture is completely different. A puncture is, it's going to have the raised edges. It's going to look like the dog would have a whole jaw. So like, I know people want it to be dog bites so bad, but it's just not. It's not dog bites. You can work at the Humane Society for 400 years. And this, how can it be? Like, these are impact. And I have looked at dog bites before. I know that some of them like do look similar. But like, so for instance, this picture. See how you can see that there's like light and dark, like you can see the depth. Whereas this, there's no depth at all. I'll try to find another one. This one. You see it that well. Oh, look at that crazy dog. Maybe that's the dog that did it. I don't, like you can see, so this one maybe. Like it's that lightness around them that make them look like they have depth. It's like that's how you can see that it's like a puncture. I'm trying to find the best, like a good one that's comparable. Why is it showing dogs? I don't have Google apparently. I can't find any that like even look remotely. I don't know what. That's like Zeds. Okay, now it's showing me flea bites. Like what? Oh, look at that. And that's what I would. So if it is just like the incisors went in, I could see that. What's this look like? That doesn't look like anything. Am I not in Google? I'm on Yahoo. That's why it's like garbage. All right, I'm trying to find a good one. Some of these are gross. I think I'll get in trouble if I show them. All right, so like this. See how it's like, you can see that there's depth because of those white edges, and this is a cleaned up version compared to whatever that other one is. That's just gross. Let's see if I find another one. So this is his arm. It's just not, there's no punctures. Like that's the problem. Like maybe you can't really see, but like that's definitely not punctures. That's abrasions. Yeah, that's what I would think too about the ring cam. You probably didn't even have to log in. It was just probably already there. And she probably had some access to it. Oh, so a lot of these are really gross. But they don't look anything like his arm. It's really like the lack of depth. That's like how, and that's why I don't think they'll even find an expert that's going to say that their dog bites. Like I think that their expert, their medical examiner is going to say it. So it's going to be interesting because I just feel like goodbye to your career. But like this by his elbow, so like you could say like these are scratches, but they're so linear. It's definitely not a claw. It's like, I would think it's like the emblem on the back of the Lexus. Like if he hit that and then rolled off, that could just scrape along his arm. The S-shaped abrasion, this one. I feel like this was probably like the taillight area, like the glass and stuff. But then these ones, like these ones down here. So like this could probably be like glass or I don't know, chunks, sharp stuff, maybe. But then these are more like just hitting a part of the car that had something sticking out. Yeah, I think that there's just no, I mean, even if like dog scratches though, like dogs, I mean, if you have dog scratches, like they're jumping on you, but like they don't like claw you. It's not their like main source of attack. I mean, I've gotten clawed up by dogs that are friendly. Like this is a dog bite where it's not that deep. And it's like, see how it's all raised? I feel like that's like the main thing where you can tell it's like a puncture or not. Like there's no raised marks. It's all flat. It's furrows. And so we have this picture that they talks about his forearm, but no one's talking about his bicep, and I don't understand. It just makes me super skeptical of that other picture. Because like how are they not saying anything about the forearm? Because those cuts look even worse. So I think it's been, I don't know if Paul O'Keefe said it. I think Paul O'Keefe might have said it too, that they only talked about the cuts or scratches on his forearm. But it's like, did he have a sheet over maybe his top arm and they just saw the forearm? I don't know, but that doctor today also said it. So I'm like, is this not real. I don't know. It went away. But I don't know. We do not know if those pictures are authentic. I got one from the news, which I think, they should have edited it, but who knows? John was killed by a cougar. I agree. Definitely a cougar. Exactly. Who leaked these pictures? It was Karen and Turtle Boy. So who knows? Who really knows? And I mean, that's one of the things that in the Turtle Boy case, it's like the stuff that's being leaked by the defense, that 911 call, it's now pictures of people's kids. There's just so much extra stuff going on in this case. That's why they don't want it in, because the jury's going to be like so confused. Like, there's so many players even as it is. But I mean, to be honest, it's because of what Karen did to muddy the waters. It's because we wouldn't need to know how everyone's related and all that if she stuck with the original story and was like, it was an accident, right? They probably wouldn't have interviewed a million different people. But she wants to pretend that her car wasn't there still. So she's going to have all these people testify to say that they saw her car outside. They're going to have to show. It's just so annoying. It's just such a waste of everyone's time and money. Yeah, we shouldn't have the real autopsy, the full autopsy photos. Those ones that were leaked were the ones from Turtle Boy, so who knows if they're real. I believe that they are doctored too. Just from, and it's weird that the one that I got from the news, it's like, why would they not show the upper part of the arm, right? Like, why would they miss that upper part? They would take a picture of the whole arm. That's what I'm so confused about. So I feel like this might be the real picture. And then the other one is something else. Like some created version or something. I don't know. I mean, that's the thing though. If they were going to Photoshop, maybe they didn't want to like blatantly Photoshop it, because I mean, they're getting in trouble for it now. At least Turtle Boy is, Karen is. I feel like David Yannetti should be in trouble for sure. Just the stuff with Colin Albert, the Scanlon stuff, saying, oh, Colin Albert has the Ford Edge, like that just pisses me off. It, like, if he didn't even really have it and they said that, like, it's just such a disgrace. Yeah, I know. I mean, I think that's the thing too. It's like the jury's not even gonna know all this stuff. I feel like that's why they're trying to delay Turtle Boy's trial, because they don't want Karen Reed to be like, I didn't get a fair trial, right? Because I think the stuff, once they get into the Turtle Boy stuff that comes out about her and him and how vile and how sick it was what they actually did, it's going to really taint people's minds about her. And so they want her to get a fair trial because they don't want her to be able to appeal whatever the result would be. But I mean, they're trying to get this one over with, because I think, you know, just from those texts, like, you can tell she's a vile person, someone that's going to like send pictures of people's kids. And then the personal attacks on people, it did seem like some of the stuff that Turtle Boy was saying was very female oriented. The attacks, like catty woman comments. And I'm just like, I was always kind of like questioning about, like, I don't know why he would be saying stuff about women's looks in the way that he does. And I know that he does in the past, but like his stuff, the stuff that he typically says about women is very like, you know, Fupasaurus, you know, weight comments. It's not like the specific stuff that was being said about these people. So I feel like it all came from Karen. And so, you know, that's pretty vile. Like the witnesses that were going to help you that morning that woke up in a blizzard and went out searching with you, you're going to like go after their whole family. You're going to implicate an innocent kid that wasn't even there. You're going to, you know, gloat about when people are being bullied and harassed. And it's pretty sick. It's really pretty sick shit. So, I mean, even when this trial's over, this is not the end of Karen Reed, because she's going to be in court with more charges, I'm pretty sure. Because, I mean, they seized her phone and they waited to get what they needed to get. Like, they didn't rush to, they put the cameras up on the poles during the rolling rally. They got a ton of information before they made an arrest or did the indictment. So Karen Reed, they just don't want to muddy the waters even more than it already is. She has made such a mess out of this case. And she is to blame. She is the one that did it. And people are like, oh, Paul O'Keefe is sitting too close to her. She is the one that wanted that courtroom. She is trying to make herself look vulnerable. We know that she's not. She's evil. And so I just can't believe that people are even buying it. Just look at her face, her facial expressions, the way that she's getting excited about Brian Higgins probably getting fired because he used his, you know, computer to get the text messages. Like, she's gloating about that when she literally killed her boyfriend. Does she think that's the same level of a crime? Like, it's just like, what is she even thinking? Like, making those kind of faces, like gloating about that kind of stuff. I mean, the more I can't imagine that the jury likes her. I don't know. It's going to be really, really interesting to see. I know that she probably hates Trooper Proctor. And like, we don't know what the deal is with them or when he said those comments, like when he was like, oh, I hope she kills herself. We don't know if he said that way after when they were getting harassed. So they might never bring it up because, you know, once they open the door, they can talk about it. And so some of the stuff might never get brought up. But once they open the door, he's going to be like, well, you know, I had people driving by my house, people taking pictures of my car every day and all that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, she's so happy when someone says something wrong. And like, that's how you know that she is in control of it. She is waiting for certain things. Like today, he's like, I think I might have told one of the EMTs that a motor vehicle was involved. She like lit up because she was like waiting for it. She knows what's in all the reports. She's the one that probably like is studying for every piece of this. She knows the facts about all these people. So she's like giving them stuff to say and to confront them about. And I think the whole Colin Albert, that was the day when she looked like a freaking, I don't know, she looks like a maniac. She was dressed like the early settler that day. But like, I think that they didn't bring up, or the judge didn't allow them to bring up certain things. And she was pissed. And who knows what it was. But it was probably all slanderous, fake stuff anyway. And I mean, that's the thing. Like, she has no shame. She does not care. Like, I don't even think she probably really knew Colin Albert. She like just waved to him like he was a neighbor. And she's going to like completely go after the kid like this and get a cult after him. And, you know, it's just so deranged. And then like, you know, Jen McCabe was the one that was being kind to her. Like, Carrie was yelling at her and stuff at the scene. And Jen McCabe's like, I know, honey. Like, being, mothering her, really. And Carrie's like, you're not helping. Shut up. So, I mean, it's like, it just sucks. Like, it really sucks that she's able to get away with this stuff so far, and that so much of the public is behind it, like behind her. It's like, that's why I just wish Lally would stop bringing out some stuff, because I think there's a lot of normal people. I think there's a lot of nuts that are going to support her no matter what. But I think there's a lot of people that are, you know, once they see some damning evidence, they're just going to be like, oh, yeah, I did see that. Jen was like, had her arm around her and she kind of like pulled out from underneath her. Yeah, her texts they're creepy. That's creepy. That's creepy to be texting your boyfriend. I mean, a friend of your boyfriend when you're all sitting on the couch together, like watching a game or something. Like, hey, I think you're hot. Like, that's so creepy. And I think that's probably how Brian Higgins felt. Like, whether he's attracted to her or not, he's just like, he was creeped out. And when she sent he's dead, he's like, oh shit. And I mean, I don't know. We'll have to see what happens, but I'm gonna wrap this live up. I think that, yeah, the text are so high school and so cringe and so disgusting. I mean, if I was Karen Reed, I would just be like, just lock me up and throw away the key. Like, I do not want those read on the news and for the public. Like, just please, I will take a deal. Just do not read those texts. I don't know. Oh, like, what a creep. I do think that I think she's just a loony. Like, I just think she's not right. She is not right. And I think that her parents know that. I think everyone knows that now, and people probably thought it was a harmless, you know, not rightness, but like now people know she's a soulless whatever she is. But all right, everyone, have a good night, and you know, we'll see what happens over the next week. I feel like if there's anything good, things will start to get leaked out by the defense. I think we're starting to see the defense people turn on each other, so that's always fun to watch. But until next time, for the creature feature next week, have a good night.